I would rather eat a Sekemen bowl than a ramen and soba bowl. Udon bowl's lowest to me.
Yeah, fair. But I find udon noodles the most fun.
Sure, they're fat and they slap around. Okay.
Jeez Louise.
Hi everybody, we are Perfectly Mid. My name is Karlo.
Emily.
And Steve.
And we're here to talk to you about all things mid, maybe not like, but the last chapter of MHA just released in English.
Yep. Sort of. Has not officially come out in English, actually.
A fan
but if you can read
sub.
Japanese or found other means, you can read it.
Yeah, you could read it. You can find it.
The volume will be out in English soon.
Yeah, so there has been some controversy around the episode.
I don't believe it.
Specifically around the Baku Deku shippers. But why don't we talk about it? Have you read it?
Yes.
You have, and you've read it?
Yep.
And I've read it. Okay, so general thoughts. Let's start with Emily.
I mean, I thought it was a pretty well-rounded ending, if all things considered. I know a lot of people have some controversy about some of the ships.
Or some people, a vocal minority.
Yeah,
Actually,
a very vocal minority.
Maybe the majority of this fan base.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
I don't know, are we doing spoilers or no spoilers?
Let's
You know what? I think we can talk spoilers just to start. I don't know how we talk about it without spoilers. I'll put in a notice.
Also, it's not like it's spoiling
It's really
anything.
not.
It's an epilogue.
Well, exactly, which is why I'm
if you're
so confused.
and if
why
you're on
people-
social media, it's been spoiled for you.
Yeah.
I'm also like, it's not really a spoiler because I feel like this is how it was going to end.
Yeah.
No, he was blatantly. It was clearly.
We all know Ochaku was going to end up with, Toga and
Yeah. Real quick
Baku
question,
and Deku.
just we don't even have to talk about it, but just real fast. Prior to the epilogue, what did you guys think? Like the final
I
chapter
felt it was
that was
very
released.
abrupt.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it felt like it was like, oh, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
And there was so much build up to that final fight, and then that last bout between Shigaraki and Deku was just sort of like, meh.
And then it's just like, what were your with that episode, the last chapter in Shonen Jump, where they're like, yeah, he became a teacher. They kind of haven't hung out a lot in 8 years. A lot of the English fan base really didn't like, and the Japanese fan base was like, why are people upset?
Yeah, I mean, as far as storytelling goes, it makes sense. Like that's what happens after school.
Yeah.
People lose contact. People change. People adjust.
It was maybe too real for people.
Well, yeah. maybe.
after a whole
Because
430
technically-
episodes or
Technically,
chapters.
The protagonist, you're used to him having his, triumphant ending and
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it was-
Naruto became the Hokage, and in Bleach, actually, I don't know, he got married. He seemed happy. He was married, had kids. This is more real.
The actual, I'll say Shonen Jump canon chapter it was like, okay, it's over now. Hirokoshi said he was going to do it in XYZ, more issues, and it's kind of just over. It didn't feel like Deku got his, rightful ending.
Yeah, it's like they stopped paying him per chapter.
Yeah.
And he tweeted out something along the lines of, 429 was like the end of the battle. 430 is like the end of the series.
Yeah.
This last one is like
A wrap-up.
a bonus, checking in on how they're doing kind of thing. He doesn't say it's not canon, but obviously a lot of the fan bases, not a lot, part of the fan base is saying they reject it. But you thought it was okay?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a nice little bow at the end.
Yes. How did you feel?
I have fought you guys so hard on the gaslighting, but after the final chapter, I'm a fan of Toga. I loved her behavior in the last one. I think she should have ended up with Ochako, and I agree with everybody. No, but I was like, oh, you know what? She's kind of nice in the last chapter. I kind of forgot that she was a murdering psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I thought Bakugo's goofy-ass car was just hilarious.
I love the
sink into
seat,
pegs.
yeah.
And where he literally calls out, why do you have a seat like that?
Because he's rich.
I did like how you saw everyone kind of grown up.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so it wasn't just a panel at the end with it wasn't
With all of them growing.
Yeah, just kind of standing there and jumping forward. You actually saw them interacting with each other as
Yes.
adults.
Yeah, you get a sense of what they're all doing work-wise. The thing with Shoto, where he said he wanted food, I was in the subreddit, and people you can kind of see how that was set up through all the chapters where he was slowly starting to enjoy eating with everybody. That was a really nice, soft thing. And the fact that some people were upset, Bakugo doesn't even get to be high on the list. Like, no, it was very much in his character, and he's like not killing himself over it anymore.
I also really like that they had the rankings there because it was almost shorthand for like, what did they do with their careers after all of this happened? And I like that they also had Best Jeanist and Mirko and some others featured with what their rankings are and how they stack up to these kids as well. Kamui Woods being number 4.
Yeah, annoyingly, I don't think Mount Lady had a number. She just constantly gets shafted.
It was still in Japanese.
In my head, she's number 3, even though that might have been taken. And Momoya?
Momo, the second, the 5 seconds guy.
Yeah.
I like
who's
his
always
costume.
bitching. He was number 10, and he looks super hot now.
Yeah, he had the
clock
watch earrings and then the watch here. Yeah, it was really cool.
It was nice.
I liked the designs that they weren't too far off from what they had been. No radical redesign.
But Ida, for example, his suit was in a suitcase, so it kind of followed on that trend of like, oh, they've been building better suits for people. And then even Ochako had like a little suitcase at the end, so that was probably her suit, which was neat. And Ida calls out like the numbering, like the way they score it now is based on so many different things. This is basically meaningless, so don't get hung up on this number.
Yes. Yeah, but the fact that Grape Rush is not ranked.
I think they said he was like 108 for his first time, and she was like, "That's fine. Is there like nobody is below 40?"
Oh, and what was the name of the guy with the voice changing? It was like Knight something.
Oh,
Aizawa's protege. Yeah.
Who now looks exactly like
where he was like, rankings are dumb.
Yeah. Oh, where was Aizawa in that last chapter? Was he there?
He was in the one before. I don't think he was in that chapter, but I read them.
He's
both.
sleeping.
I reread them today, and he's in the chapter before, like when Midoriya's at school.
And did Mirko have like cannon arms?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't going crazy.
There's some her and Genos comparisons on social media that are really funny, like from One Punch Man. Yeah. She's like, he's basically him.
From One Piece Man.
One Piece Man.
One Piece Man.
Okay.
So yeah, we're all kind of like, it was
generally we thought it was good.
Yeah,
it was not surprising.
I think people were taking it a little too serious.
So what I want to ask about is the shipping. So very prominently featured in this episode, in this final chapter, we had Ochako and by extension Toga.
Yep.
And the relationship between her and Deku. Without going into the Baku Deku thing, how do we feel about Toga Ochako, Tochako Deku?
I mean, it seemed pretty set up from the beginning. I mean, it's Shonen Jump. There was, I think, one lesbian relationship in the cat party. Like the group of 4, I think 2 of them were implied to be together in the series.
Oh, and then one of them is trans too.
No, the one with the lips
Tiger.
Tiger?
There was one guy, but there were 3 girls, and two of the girls were together.
Tiger is trans. Tiger is trans.
Yeah,
and then there was also a trans character. It was like the first one who got killed in the League of.
With the long hair and the lips.
Yeah.
The only reason I bring up Tiger is because it's in the Plus Ultra handbook that he is trans.
I mean.
So
first of all, Shonen Jump in general, they're starting to have more representation, but like it's a Shonen Jump series, like it's written for boys largely, and more than like Naruto.
Large boys.
More than, I would say, maybe not Naruto or Bleach, but a lot of Shonen Jump series where they tend not to have romance and it's just thrown in the last chapter. This was kind of very blatantly hinted at throughout the series, that at least that Ochako very clearly was into him, and like Deku saw something more in their friendship. But more importantly, I hate the fact that certain sects of the internet, which I get you want representation, that's totally fair, don't understand the idea of 2 boys being friends. Because that's what I'm annoyed by, is like Deku and
let's pause that one because I do want to have a full conversation.
So that's my issue with it, is a lot of the complaints are like, how dare you like take this away, that like, oh, now they're just friends, that like everything was hinted at, like ignoring that like, oh, they were rivals and like that's what pushed them.
Okay.
Yes.
Cap your passion for now, because I want you to open up in a second. How do you feel about Tochako Deku?
Never understood. Oh, the Tochaku.
I
never understood the Ochako Toga shipping to each other. I never got it.
Well, we're talking about like how
I agree with you though.
Like, because let's talk about that first, and then we'll talk about
it's a weird overlap Venn diagram thing.
The whole time that every interaction that Toga and Ochako had was like Toga was telling Ochako to confess her feelings. Like helping her realize.
Yes.
So it was always very weird to me that they were trying to ship with each other, because I'm like, what is Toga and Ochako? They were like helping each other.
Similar to the Baku Deku, I think it's a very vocal minority that is pushing these things.
Yeah, but I never got it.
I don't agree with it, but I think what the idea is, and also it helps having read the last chapters, like Togo is trying to push her to confess because she's like, I'm selfish, I do what I want, you should do what you want. And then I think Ochako started trying to like befriend her and like reach out to her, I think the fan base took that as like Toga started falling in love with her, but like more as friends maybe.
Yeah.
But I think the fan base was like, well, no, just love. And part of it could just be being starved for romance in Shonen Jump series, which I totally get.
I think there's a lot of...
But I don't think that's what it was.
Yeah, I never got it.
No,
but
well, I do want to comment on that because I think that there are a lot of... without getting too much into identity politics, there are a lot of groups of people that are starved for representation in different types of media, and you give them an inch and they take a mile.
That's
absolutely
absolutely fair.
Where it comes from.
I think there were way better stories, to Steve's point.
Yes,
like
yes.
The Ochako and Toga thing always felt like a reach for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of that with Deku, I mean, from the beginning, it was like day one, Deku's a class 1A, falls in love with Ochako. I'm like, this is like every classic shojo of...
Yes.
It's better than
Love
Naruto
at
and
first
Bleach
sight.
because he paid attention to her. Like, the other two, it was the girl being into the guy, and then at the end, they're like, they got married.
So, like, from day one, it was like, if it felt inorganic if they didn't end up together to me.
Yeah.
And Toga was just like, yeah, he looked like a guy that was nice to me once at school. Like,
Yeah. I really like that Toga... like everything felt pretty well written, well wrapped up, considering how it had been built up in the series. Like Toga being that catalyst for Ochako to actually say something, like made sense. They didn't give her like too much screen time. I was surprised that Toga had so much screen time in this last chapter, but it made sense. And then the fact that Ochako and Deku ended up together, but it wasn't like, oh, we're married, we have kids now. Yeah. It was, this is the start of a relationship, made sense for the series. Yeah. Now.
And it was their friends, both being like, you guys work too hard, you're trying to take care of everybody, like, what do you want? And then taking 8 years to be like, oh yeah, I like a person. Or like, I've been holding back. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes them...
Because Bakugo's the one who pushed him to do it. He's like, hey, you constantly focus on everybody, like, you're missing out on
so they're like
opportunity.
22 years old, 22 to 24.
Yeah.
Because what, they were 15 when the series started?
Yeah. It's a pretty big time skip for shonen. It's usually always 3 years.
Okay,
yeah,
so...
it's like they graduated from college.
Yeah.
last chapter, fine for the series. Yeah. Not a disappointment.
Yeah.
The Deku, Ochako, fine. Now, Baku Deku. Thoughts?
I'd be curious for your thoughts first.
Again, I never really got it. It was always, to me, it's like they're rivals, right? They yin to each other's yang, not in a romantic sense, but in a way to like progress each other and make each other better. The same way that like you have organic friendships that you maintain over the years and people push you to do things that you may not want to do, where you're not exactly the same type of person, but they bring something out in you that you wouldn't necessarily have done otherwise. To me, that's what Bakugo and Deku are to each other. They're like the childhood friends that complement each other.
Childhood bullies too.
Yeah.
Clashed because they were kids and couldn't handle emotions well, and then they kind of like
to me, it's nothing other than like I mean, I don't know, like Megami to
Yuji
Itadori.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like they have they are the two comrades that go out and battle together.
They're friends and they hung out, and then some people are like they should be together.
Again, the romantic aspect, it was never, to me, it was never romance. It was admiration, right? And like those are two very, you could admire a friend. You don't, that doesn't necessarily mean you're in love with them.
You're in love with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I wonder, I don't really think this is it, but there was a part of me that was like, you know, because some people were like, why do you want him to end up with like bully and victim from childhood? And I was like, is that why the BL lovers are into it? Because it's that dynamic, that like problematic dynamic.
You sat in on the Omegaverse panels.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of as I was like, are they into it because like in chapter 1 when they saw him being bullied, they're like, oh, I can't wait for that to turn sexual when they're older. But
I mean, it could be.
It's a small thing. It's just a funny thought. But
again, but it's like, you're saying it's a funny thought, right?
But
and
some
then you
people
have
were into it,
people who are like so like visibly upset by it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, and also like, you know, they're like, well, it was just the two of them. But like throughout the series, obviously the two of them were pushing each other and had that relationship. But also Kirishima started working his way in with Bakugo, and they became closer and closer. And in the final chapter, he's in the car with Bakugo, like, you know, Bakugo's picking on Deku, and Kirishima knows him and they're friendly enough that he's translating. Be like, here's what he means. Like Deku, you missed it. He was asking you to join his agents.
Yeah.
So are you
And
saying
Bakugo has other friends, and there's people literally posting images, and they're like, look how sad he looked when he told Deku to like go to Ochaku. But like, Kirishima's behind him, and like the poison girl like being super goofy. It's like, no, he has other friends now. He's like doing totally fine.
Kirishima was in the car? I'm not one to start conspiracy theories.
They were
but
definitely banging.
maybe it's Bakugo and Kirishima.
Yeah,
this whole
that's also a super popular ship.
That is one.
Yeah, but maybe that's what we should be talking about. Maybe that's what Horikoshi has been hinting at, and everybody's been so blinded by Bakudeku.
Or the Todoroki Deku, who's
Yeah.
Oh, I love that Todoroki's just like continuing.
He's like, I want to build a bowl.
Yeah.
I like food, so I'm gonna make containers for it.
I went to my dead brother's shrine, but I'm gonna make some food.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of ships as like a fun bonus chapter, right? Like I'm a little curious why people tend to take it so seriously.
So on like
counter argument.
Yeah.
The male authors of Jump Comics all believe that women are born to marry men, so I resist Jump Comics. I will no longer support you or all male authors until you understand that women are not born to be associated with male protagonists. Also, maybe your mom never taught you that creators need to be responsible to the main audience. Both Horikoshi and Shonen Jump are fully aware that Bakugo Deku and Katsuki fans dominate their fan base.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do. They're the #1 fan base.
I decided to go on social media because I completely I was reading people on Reddit saying things, and I was like really struggling to find it. I was searching like the BKDK hashtag and things, and I still wasn't finding anything. Then I went to Horikoshi's Twitter, and that's where all the aggressive attacks are, is directly at
Okay, so Reddit, what's the overall Reddit response?
I was in the Boku no Hero Academia subreddit, and so I don't know if they were suppressing it, but like it was
not
largely people
not too
commenting.
much.
Some people were like, it's okay, but a lot of people being like, oh my god, the feedback from the BKDK fans is ridiculous.
And that you saw on Twitter.
And then I was like, where is it? Because I read these things about it, and I'm like, I don't see it, and so I went to Twitter to find it. I was like, I'm really not seeing it. And then when I went to Horikoshi's, it's literally all of it is at him.
How about you're active on TikTok? Has there been a lot of content on TikTok about it?
Probably not as much as Twitter, but there
Twitter is
have
a
been
cesspool.
like very dramatic, or it's like picture of my friend when she found out that Bakudeku's not canon, and she's like on the floor crying, and I'm like, all right, that's when I'm saying it's a little dramatic, guys.
But
like,
that's not like threatening the author, at least.
No,
because there's that on Twitter.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's just like people posting on like, and the more you engage, the more you see. But like
that's healthy. Like, I have a feeling, but like I'm not gonna get aggressive.
Nowhere near whatever that is on Twitter, like direct attacks.
But
in terms of like TikTok wise, I mean, it's not. I haven't seen like a wide trend on my For You page.
Okay, so it really is Twitter.
He's wild for even having a Twitter account. A lot of mangaka don't. Hopefully, he's ignoring it.
Yeah.
And he said he wants to start another manga soon.
Has there been?
Oh, did you see the Spider-Man cover he drew?
Really?
Yeah, he drew like I don't know if it's like official, but he drew like a Spider-Man cover with Deku and All Might behind it, and then one of the Marvel, I think, one of the DC comic artists drew a like My Hero.
Oh, they did like a trade.
It's unfortunately I don't like his art. It's a very unique style, but it was like a cool thing that he got some acknowledgement.
That's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun that like Western artists like that. There's an exchange there. I like that. Yeah. Has there been? I feel like there hasn't been as much coverage or as much hubbub about JJK ending.
Maybe when it wrapped, but I don't think so.
Yeah, like it hasn't stirred up
big.
as much
controversy.
controversy.
It was definitely big, but maybe there's more people reading the My Hero manga than more people reading the JJK manga versus like everybody's watching that anime. It ended, and I think everybody was like, yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, candidly, I was avoiding even looking at things like The Plague because I was spoiled so many times on JJK stuff.
Wait, have you read the end? No, you guys haven't read it, so I don't want to talk about it.
I mean, I haven't read it, but
I know
this is my point because it's like it gets spoiled. Like you scroll on Twitter, a chapter would release, and it's like, oh, okay, XYZ happened, and so like I was trying to like anytime I would see anything JJK related, just try and scroll past as fast as I can. So like I know the beats, but like the underlying like lead up, lead down repercussions, I do not know. But like. So that being said, I don't know if that's because I just disengaged with that content, why I'm not seeing it.
It's definitely possible. I mean, like I said, all this hate was in a Twitter area none of us were exploring. Like there's subspaces for all of this.
I also think that like just and small sample size, right? Based on what I've seen at the cons, I think the MHA fan base is much more broad in terms of who it's reaching than JJK.
I agree.
Which
I think
There's some younger
I think
people.
the
younger
audience is
people,
vast.
different sexualities,
Yeah.
different
Genders.
identities, different genders that like MHA just because it's a little more friendly to all of those things.
Yeah.
JJK is very like classic shonen.
There's definitely not as big of a fan, like MHA, a huge, I don't know how big it is, but like the part of that fan base that was obsessed with Bakugo Deku
Yeah.
is way bigger than, I don't even know what the biggest BL pairing would be for JJK, because I think it was more just
Geto
like,
and
Geto.
Gojo.
I guess, but a lot of it's just like Gojo himself is hot, and I mean, there's that, but it's not to the same degree.
Yeah, I think the biggest ship is Gojo and yourself.
and yeah, it's
Like
self,
yourself.
it's
Like whoever,
self-insert.
yeah, self-insert,
And your
yeah.
name.
Exactly.
And your name.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I also think too the barrier to entry to My Hero is way lower.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the power set, the name.
I mean, after having
Like,
watched it all
I
and
still
knowing
watched,
what JJK
two
is, I don't
seasons and a
understand it.
movie, and I still really can't describe what purple or
Yeah.
Oh, the
Demand-
power system is very confusing, and I know there's people who say it's not, and it's very obvious. Like I've tried reading the subreddit
It's not
for
obvious.
it, and I can't.
Those are
I
the
can't
same.
parse it.
Those are the same people who say that Nen makes sense.
I think Nen does make sense. I haven't watched it, but like
Or,
from
so,
watching people
not make
break
sense.
it down, like the system works.
Nen is easy to understand.
Correct.
No,
But
there
JJK isn't just not easy to understand. JJK is more rule of cool.
Yes.
Like there's interesting powers, and don't like. I eventually hit the point where I was like, I'm gonna stop trying to figure out how cursed energy and reverse curse energy versus reverse curse techniques operate, because it's affecting my enjoyment, and like it's just cool punches and techniques.
JJK is a D&D campaign that's really fun for the players.
Oh, also, I found this out from the. So I've commented on this. A lot of the fan base knows the guy who translated JJK for Shonen Jump did a bad job, just objectively a bad job.
yeah.
One of the people who filled in for him once, I believe she, but I'm not positive. So they post on Twitter a lot, and they would do their own translation, like fixing things that were wrong. And
They work with him, for him?
they had done some translation for Shonen Jump when he was like out for certain
okay.
Like
chapters.
subbed in, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think they're going to try to fan sub the whole thing, which would be amazing. There's a ton of Buddhist imagery and mythology in the series.
Oh,
that,
yeah, like the
they
kitchen
started
versus
post-
shrine.
but even more than that,
Yeah,
like certain hand
that
signs, they're like,
small
this hand
example.
sign is a particular Buddha, and this Buddha represented this, which ties into his power. And like things about the end I won't comment, but like where they are in the setting and a shrine that appears, they're like, this is hinting at this idea of like reincarnate. Like I wouldn't know any of that. I don't
Yeah.
have the proper knowledge, and it's cool that he worked it in.
I feel like
Yes.
JJK is like you need to have like the user guide.
Right.
So like you need to read the like companion
Yeah.
in order to fully understand and be integrated into the story. Whereas like My Hero, okay, you're literally like the first 5 minutes they explain the power set. You're born with a
Yeah.
quirk.
Yeah. It's
You know, as people reproduce, quirks get stronger, quirk singularity. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's he was inspired very obviously by American comics. He said it a lot, and that's what it is. And JJK is, ignoring the rule of cool part, clearly has like deep spiritual considerations that he's putting into it that like they're never going to tell you that in the story, and you technically don't need to know it, but it makes it way more interesting. When I was reading those tweets from this person, I'm like, oh, I enjoy this chapter more now that you're telling me this. I would never know this.
It really draws parallels for me between like Ghibli films and JJK, because there's so much in Ghibli that's like based on like Japanese folklore that I have no idea, like never heard about it, never learned about it as a kid because I'm not Japanese.
Yeah.
But then you read or you watch video essays or you read reviews afterwards and you're like, oh my gosh, this makes
Except
so
take
much
this
more
to
sense.
a deeper level, because you'd need to be like training as a Buddhist monk to know this.
Yeah.
Not even like regular Japanese people would know, oh, this hand sign is this Buddhist guy in the Jomon in this prefecture and like what he represents.
Yeah.
So yeah, the controversy not nearly as bad with JJK. I think everyone was like, it's all right.
Yeah.
It was a fine ending.
JJK, MHA, we've talked about this before. Big three are over. So
Yeah,
you think the fantasy
They were
big three?
they were the big three of Shonen Jump. Like they were just the biggest.
Who was the third? Demon Slayer? I thought, does One Piece?
One Piece has always been the biggest.
It's
title.
one of the
So
big three.
the big three was one. There was only ever one big three. It was One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach.
Bleach,
Then the
yeah.
idea just kept expanding. People were like, oh well, Naruto and Bleach went away, but other big series popped up. But manga in general is just bigger, so you can ignore the idea. Like the big three is dead, but the bigger titles in Shonen Jump were Demon Slayer and MHA,
Yeah.
and then Demon Slayer kind of faded out. JJK started pulling up; those have both ended.
Mm.
Now, Kagurabachi, surprisingly, is one of the newest titles, is doing crazy good.
Kagurabachi.
Yeah, that's
Wasn't that the one that they like were like, this is
Was it
going to be
meme?
the greatest?
Yeah.
ever?
Literally, he posted an image and everybody was like, oh, it looks generic. So everybody on social media was like, this is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
It's so good. And the artist saw those tweets and thought people were genuine because didn't get American sarcasm or Western sarcasm. And he's like, I'm so excited that everybody's so looking forward to my new work. And it could have really turned if it turned out to be generic, but it's incredible. They already announced an anime this week.
Oh, wow.
And there's not that,
So
there's
it
not
ended
that
up
much
being
content. Like,
God.
normally it would
We're
have been
going to get a Tokyo Ghoul ending.
It's like
we'll get a season 1.
It's
Like,
like naming a Shinkansen, like training McTrain.
for comparison,
Ends up being
Sakamoto Days, which is really good, had an anime announced this year, and they've released the PV. I think it comes out in next season, maybe, or 2 seasons. That had like 2 more years on it. It's rare for a series to. I think Kagurabachi is probably in like chapter 50. It's pretty new, so it's surprising it got an announcement this fast.
Oh,
so that's one of the bigs.
so what is your? Well, it's post Thanksgiving.
Yep.
What anime are you most thankful for this year?
This year?
Doesn't
Thankful as in that we saw it, not that.
that you've seen it, that it's gotten announced to have an anime,
I feel like I have to say.
or maybe it's one that has existed for a while and you're just thankful that it's like come to an end or is continuing. Or...
I've talked about it before, so I'll just say look back. Like, I can't believe it happened. I can't believe how good it was. And it's going out into theaters again. So like it's doing stupidly well. Like they extended the timing twice and now they're re-releasing it in theaters.
It's like six theaters across the US.
And they're going to do more, and they're going to give out signed shikishi. When we did an episode where I was talking about back in like
when they give giveaways?
When they used to give giveaways and they stopped doing that for a long time. G-Kids, the best distributor, is like, hey, you know what? They saw the podcast episode clearly because it didn't come out until after we talked about it.
Oh yeah, we're an influencer.
We're giving out freebies. So you're welcome, G-Kids. Great idea.
All right, look back. What anime are you
I don't know
thankful
if
for?
Or manga.
Or manga, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Or doujinshi that you picked up.
Oh no, jeez, I'm not fluent enough in Japanese to read those. But I mean, to be honest, I'm glad that what I'm thankful for is that shojo is getting more accreditation. Like it's not just it's getting more adaptations where it's not just like, oh, there's 2 shojos a season and they're like kind of mid. Like we had some really good ones in the past year, like fiscal year, right? We had Yamada-kun, More Than Lovers, Anya hides her feelings in Russian, or Alia hides her feels in Russian. True Beauty. I'm really loving Nina and the Starry Bride this season. So like I'm glad that like there's more to choose from.
And My Happy Marriage got an OVA this year and a season 2 announced.
Yes. Blue Box.
Blue Box is great.
Like romance is on the upswing. So I'm glad I'm not just like watching Babel Shonen.
And we've been getting better romance in non-specifically romance here, so Dandadan.
Yeah, precisely. So
Ooh, Dandadan. I was gonna say
I would have said that if not look back, but I was like,
I'm thankful for Dandadan, but I'm really most thankful for the OP of True Beauty. That's my favorite thing this year. I stand by that.
Yeah. You stan that?
I stand that.
Yeah.
I stand Ghetto and I ship Ghetto and
don't come
the
for us that it's
True
not an
Beauty
anime
OP.
or manga. I know it's a Korean.
Which
Was it manhwa or animwa?
Manhwa is
the manga
equivalent. I don't remember what the anime.
Animwa.
I don't.
No, that's French.
think that's it.
Animwa.
But anyway, I'm just thankful that there's like more to choose from.
Yeah, as anime in general has been blowing up, it's I don't know if it's the companies specifically or like social media is making them aware of it, but they're like, oh, the shoujo fan base is huge, and rather than them just like not just the fact that they consume pretty much all doujinshi and it's this massive market, like, oh, we can make things for them and they will buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there's been some really awesome shoujo merch this year.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of merch, we just got back from Japan.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of Japan merch. If you consider merch like something that has to do with what you're going to, we got so much Japan merch. Tell us, well, I was there with you, but I want
Carlo doesn't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember much of anything. Tell me, how was Japan? What did you do? What did we do?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, we were there for 2 weeks. So we went last December for like 4 weeks.
Yeah, almost a month.
Almost a month. And then this year we went again because, can't only go once.
For 2 weeks.
And so we start off in Fukuoka to watch the sumo tournament, which is awesome. Nice. Then we went to Onomichi to do the Shiminami Kaido, which Now we've all done
Kept
it.
up. I was actually just following them the whole time, just
Yeah.
filming them.
Yeah, we had our.
Put a video out, just no audio, can't hear them. That's them over in the distance.
All you hear is your
I
breathing.
could not keep up. It's just me and a telescope, like they're over there.
And then we made our way over to Kyoto and then back to Tokyo.
Yeah, we were gonna drop by Osaka for a day. We ended up not.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just love Kyoto. It has like such a I don't know. Feels like a magical land.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Okay, let's do it one by one. I
Yeah.
want to
So
start
start
with
off with
Fukuoka.
Fukuoka.
Yeah, I'm curious because
Fu-
I've seen the tournament in Tokyo. So
Okay.
I have to hear about that
So
too. But
we hired or we jumped
well, we
onto
it was like a sumo tour.
yeah, we jumped
Oh.
onto a tour
okay.
where they had an English speaking guide
Okay.
basically teach a group of what, like 16 of us?
Yeah.
About less than 20. 16 of
I
us
did one of those.
about sumo,
Yep.
like how it's score or like how it's
Basically the
played, how they
origin
fight,
and how it has
the
very
origin, the
Shinto-
history, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything about it. And then she gave us a sheet with all of the contenders for the day,
Yep.
who she liked personally.
The best part was she made her own sheet of every single match and
Yes.
put like little fun facts for each person.
Oh, that's cool.
So she
Yeah.
was like, this person's nickname is the flying monkey. He
Or the
loves
panda.
mochi.
Yeah.
And then
There was one that's like, this person's half Filipino.
Yeah,
he
he
loves
loves to
karaoke
sing.
and strawberries.
yeah, and like she would put little like symbols next to them and be like, he's my favorite. Or like
Oh yeah, and she was saying like this is a passion of hers. This is her like she has a full-time job, but she does this because she loves it so much. And then she showed us. She was like, I was on the Shinkansen last year, and I saw one of the sumo wrestlers. This is a picture of me and them.
That's hilarious.
we
She's like, you can't get away on the Shinkansen.
yeah, we were on the bus in Fukuoka because like it's sort of like Kyoto where like bus is just as much used as trains, and there was a sumo wrestler sitting next to us. He was huge. He took up as much space as me and Emily, and
he was in training. I don't
he
even
was in
think
training. He was a
competing.
junior one.
Yep.
And then we asked our guide about him, and she's like, "Oh, he's one of the smaller ones."
Yep.
They were
The size
gigantic.
difference is crazy.
Yeah, huge. So we get the guide. They give us a whole history tour
Little
for like
pamphlet.
a little pamphlet that was like about an hour, and then we walked to the arena to watch. And they were explaining that Fukuoka is great. So sumo, they do every odd month, and they do it in different prefectures. They do Tokyo, they do Kyoto, the Kansai region, they do Fukuoka.
It goes
Nagoya.
west east, west east.
And I believe it's all like every month,
November.
every November it's Fukuoka. So it's like the same month it will be there. So if it's in March, it's in Tokyo. It's always going to be in Tokyo until they change the schedule. So November they do Fukuoka, and she was explaining that Fukuoka is great because we were like pretty far back. But she said compared to Tokyo, where we are the furthest seats back, that's like
Tokyo, you're
front
pretty
of
far
the
away.
middle.
Yeah,
for
Tokyo.
Tokyo.
So Fukuoka was considered, I think she said the smallest or
The
one of
smallest
the smallest
venue
That would make
for
sense.
venues.
sumo.
So yeah, she was saying like where we're at. We were like in the last section of the.
We were in the
corner
front of the
row.
last section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like, you would be in like premium seating if you were in Tokyo.
We would be like right behind like the boxes with the pillows.
Yep.
So it was. I mean, I had so much fun. I bought a souvenir towel with one of the sumo wrestlers' names. It feels weird calling them wrestlers. One of the sumo's names.
Yeah, just sumo.
And his name was Ura.
Yeah.
And I was holding like apparently he was like a local like
He's
a-
from
nice.
the
from
prefecture.
Fukuoka from yeah. So when he got up, people were going like, and people don't really cheer
And it was like a Monday.
names
It was a
like
Monday.
they do at a baseball game or a basketball game. So they like it got crazy. People were like Ura, Ura, Ura. People were chanting like, and then you had little girls like you had people from like grade school level. They're like Ura.
You also probably had more locals there because Tokyo is mostly mostly foreigners. And I did a tour there, and they commented they're like, it's really not a super popular sport in Japan, but because way more tourists are going, like you tend to see a lot of them, at least in the Tokyo events. But locals would do yells. It was just, mostly for the bigger folks.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, for this one, people were definitely cheering
Like
for
who's
the
local
higher
for
ranked.
Tokyo, like
And they were cheering
half
for
of it.
people from the region.
Yeah, they were cheering
Definitely.
for the top. I forget what the names, but it was like right underneath the Yokozuna.
there's the Yokozuna. There's 3 levels.
It
There's the
starts with an
Yokozuna,
O.
Ozetchi. I'm probably saying that wrong.
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
but yeah,
But
there's like a few of them.
Yeah, but they were the Yokozuna wasn't there because they were injured. So the 3 of the second highest were there, and those got the most cheers. Some of the cool things like the flag. Did they explain the flags to
Yeah,
you?
the advertisements and the sponsors, and the more sponsors they have,
the
more money
more
you get.
cash out they get.
There was one guy, I don't even think he was a Yokozuna when I was in Tokyo, who actually had the most, and it was like ridiculous. They couldn't fit them all in the ring, so like they had
They
more of them came up.
They did it for us.
Yeah.
Our guide was saying her name was Mickey. The most that she's seen was 70 banners.
And I forget what she said, how much yen each
So instead of like
one's
having
like
a
30,000.
jacket in America,
What?
where
30,000 yen or something like that.
is compared to America, where like they would just wear a jersey or whatever,
Or
with
like the
sponsors
Nike
on it, like
logo,
they carry flags, like actual banners into the ring in like a row.
And it
kinda
has
walk
whoever
around.
the sponsor is.
You
and
know
walk
you made
around.
it when you have Don Quixote as your sponsor.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And then they at the end, based on how many flags they get, like a payout.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah.
The more
It was just
sponsors
cool
you
to
have, the better.
really to learn about like the Shinto background and why they do certain things and what the hand movements mean, because we would have been completely lost on us if we just went on our own.
I also didn't understand the rules before that day.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize that there was like this whole like Cold War setup where you just sort of have to fake each other out with fake starts until they decide, okay, this is the one where you start, and it's just first one to touch the ground without their feet or they're out of the ring. That's it, and that's the match, and it can be anywhere from like 10 seconds to 3 minutes. We saw one that was like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And the crowd, like the ebb and flow of the crowd, just going like, whoa,
Because it's very much a short burst of energy.
Yeah,
and
there's like 30
activity.
events a
And so
day.
if they're like hitting each other and they're not moving, okay, it's like, oh, we kind of burn ourselves out in those first 10 seconds. Who's gonna stay in it long enough to like get a second win?
Yeah.
It's great.
And then you get the people like lifting each other and like.
And it's not just
Did you have
size.
somebody dodge out of the way and just like shut?
Oh yeah,
I watched one of those.
We had one. The guy came like it was one big guy, one smaller guy. The big guy comes forward. The small guy just goes boom.
Yeah, slides out of the way, and I'm like,
Slides out
oh
of the
yeah, there's more strategy
And then
to it than
the
you
people
think.
who get crushed on the outside of the ring just die.
Oh my gosh,
I want to
yeah.
buy one of those tickets, but I wasn't able to the last
I
time. Just because I
highly-
think it'd be an interesting experience.
I highly recommend if you're in town.
You can get
for
injured.
Sumo,
It is warned
go
to
to
get,
sumo.
to if you sit at the seats. They're like, you have a decent chance of getting injured. You just need to know that.
Yeah, they're gonna roll right onto you.
Yeah.
Definitely get a guide.
Get a guide if you don't speak Japanese. Get a guide, or if you don't understand sumo, get a
Yeah,
guide.
even I would say you probably just need it just for not understanding sumo. I did a tour; it wasn't that good, but I at least had somebody kind of explain the basics. They just weren't as clearly into it, which sounds nice.
So we did
Wait,
sumo.
did you eat ramen in Fukuoka? That's the birthplace of ramen.
Yes, we had ramen, and we also had what was the name of the stalls on the side? They have like
Yatai.
Yatai.
Oh,
They
the
have a
night
big
market?
river, yeah, and they have like a night market where every night they have booths set up with different food vendors, but the food is, it's
Your
pretty
normal
much the same.
izakaya
Yeah,
grilled
Yeah.
fare.
yeah, but we had that as well. We had motsu, like the intestines, which was good. So everything was great. The
And
food was
and
really
the
good.
Fish eggs.
The fish, oh yeah,
Mantaiko.
Mentaiko.
Yeah.
Mentaiko. They have a lot of mentaiko, which is like, I'm not a
I like
huge
it
fan.
in
It's
other
very
things.
salty.
Yeah, I like as a topping to something. But
Yeah.
What did you think about Fukuoka?
I thought it was. I mean, I think it was definitely a good second trip destination.
Yeah.
Without I would definitely recommend going when the sumo is there, because otherwise you're gonna have to like really seek out the
Yeah.
cultural aspects. Like we also on another day hired like just a city guide, and she was great. She was an older
She was fine.
woman.
She reminded me of my grandma.
Yeah, she was very much grandma
Shout out
vibes.
Nana.
But unless you have some castle ruins, there's a park.
Oh my God!
There's a temple.
What are the castle ruins? You go in and they're like, "This could have been the castle ruins. We don't know." But this is where
This was the
this is
toilet.
where this is where the tourist agency was, and this is where the toilet was. We know that for sure.
Yeah, because of all of the bacteria we found.
I'll say I've been to Fukuoka twice, and it seems like a really cool place to live. Like in
Oh, yeah,
Japan,
yeah.
like it has that vibe of like a city that would be neat to hang out in, which is also how I felt about Melbourne in Australia. Like not a cool place
Melbourne.
to visit. Not a cool place to visit as a tourist, but like I went around with somebody who lived there, and that made it way more interesting.
Yeah, like as a
Fukuoka's
local,
the same way.
Yeah,
it's very it's easily digestible.
It's
like,
a lot more chill than a lot of Japan is.
Yeah, if you're like, I don't know why you would be passing through Fukuoka, but like you could do it in like
if you're
2
doing like
days, a day, 2
Nagasaki or
days.
something.
Yeah.
like-
It's
I
fun.
did the first time I went, I stopped in Hiroshima on the way, and so like Hiroshima was a half day or a day, and then I went on to Fukuoka after.
It's also where Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe had their honeymoon.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was what the first thing my dad said when we were saying we were going.
So if you're a big Yankees fan,
And
go
you
check
wanna
out
see the
Fukuoka.
place he had his honeymoon.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to
But
do
no,
with baseball.
It feels very much like a city people live in.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
It's like the Philly of Japan.
yeah.
Don't disparage Fukuoka like that.
I love Philly.
Yeah, but their sports fans are terrible.
Oh yes. The sports fans.
The sports fans in Fukuoka are not that
great.
bad.
They're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
They're great. So after Fukuoka, we hit
Onomichi.
Onomichi, and we did the Shiminami Kaido.
Mhm.
What did you think about? You did the Shiminami Kaido.
Yep.
You did Onomichi.
Yep.
How did
Did
you
you
feel?
stay?
I
in
stayed the night in
Onomichi?
Onomichi. That's
Yeah.
where I met a random Japanese guy up on the hill.
Mhm.
I went up late at night, had a guy take photos for me, and then I got lost coming back down. Ran into him on the way down. He's like, "Hey, you want to get dinner?" So you got to hang out with a local, which was cool. And then I rented a bike. I think I brought my clip-ins because I was biking with gear, and I was like, I need to be able to move as fast as I can because I'm going to be stopping and filming and setting up my drone, so I need to be able to move quick. So I rented the bike the night before, thinking I would get up before the shop opened in the morning, and I failed to wake up on time.
Did you do it while you were living in Japan?
No, this was last year.
So you
Or-
like
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last
Huh.
summer.
because I had no problem waking up in the morning.
I think I was tired from
Okay, got it.
because it was like the first thing I did there. I think I had like one night, and then because it was
Oh,
the only day I could get a bike my size was at the beginning of my trip. I didn't want to do that first, but
Tall
it had to be
man
what I did
problems.
first. Yes, exactly. Did it in a day. I wish I'd given myself 2 days, probably because I was stopping to film. Because on like the second or third island, there's a temple
Yeah.
that was really cool, and there's like a peace memorial.
Yep.
I spent a lot of time there, and all of a sudden it was 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was like,
makes
I have
sense.
3 hours to turn my bike in. I need to pick up speed.
Did you get lost along the way?
Only once.
Yeah, same with us.
I think it was like the
We missed
second.
the
Second island,
Yeah,
we missed the turn.
Yeah, the turn is not labeled. Yes,
It's
yes.
not fucking labeled.
And then we're like, wait, this is the bridge we just crossed.
Yeah. All of a sudden you're like, wait, this says to Onomichi, and it names the bridge, and you're like, that's the first bridge.
Yeah, we ended
Yes.
up doing an extra 6 miles, and we met a couple from Wisconsin at the end, and they're like, "We did the same thing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
Common.
a random British guy. This will be the last thing because I want to hear you guys talk about it. There was a random British dude I kept passing. I didn't know it. So like.
Oh yeah,
Like,
there's
well,
stuff
Back and forth, and so in a kombini, I was like, "Hey, I keep seeing you. You're doing," and he was like wearing a hoodie and like he had a regular bike,
Yeah.
and didn't look quite as in shape. So not in a bad way, but I was just like, I was like, hey
was
man,
A-shape.
hey man, like you're like I'm clearly kitted out, and he's
Yeah.
wearing like casual clothes. I was like, dude, you're holding up. We keep passing each other and talk for a minute. I was like, probably see you again. And then at the last bridge, I spent so long with my drone getting shots that he caught up,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, dude, you just want to ride together to the end? It was a bad idea in the sense that I could have been done so much faster.
Oh,
but like
no.
I stayed with him because he had to turn his bike in and catch a bus. So I was like, I had Google Maps. He didn't have good service. So I was like, I'll get you there, which was a cool way to.
And then how'd you
cool way
get
to
back?
end it.
Did
Yeah,
you
how'd you get
like-
back?
I dropped my bike. I stayed in a really nice hotel that night in a mall. I went to a God, what is it called? Where they have the grill right in front of you and they grill the meat. I'm blanking on the name.
Yakiniku.
No, like steak.
Oh, like
Not-
Korean barbecue.
Not what we call in
Yeah.
in America where they're flipping eggs in the half, but like the actual Japanese version. of it.
Something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember the name, but it was really good. I had like a really nice Wagyu steak and like rested, and then I took the bus back in the morning,
We did it
which
all
was
in one day.
inconvenient.
Yeah.
So I did it all in one day, but
Yeah.
I stayed the night because
Yeah.
I was
We
going to be
took the
went
bus
back
back.
in one
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it take? Oh, well, you did a lot of stops,
Realistically,
yeah.
I mean, I could tell you what my actual data was, but I think you could
Less than a work day.
You could do it in 5 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
And
If you
I
don't
told
stop, yeah.
you were asking like what was the difficulty compared to like the Palisades or something like that. There's very little elevation gain, and it's what 50 miles.
yeah, it's 70 kilometers. It was about
50.
45 miles.
Yeah.
We did 52.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
As
You
long
missed
as you,
the turn.
yeah, as long I think that I ended up a little longer too. As long as you don't go up to, I think there's a lookout at the last bridge, but it's like apparently insane to attempt it on a bike. I think even Connor, like
We did that.
you did
We
this like insanely steep lookout that is not part of the
Yes.
route.
Yeah, we took pictures from there. The one with like the dome and like the.
Oh.
But we didn't.
No, I don't think that's what Steve's talking about.
I haven't been to this lookout. I've just heard it's really hard. Like Connor had said, he was like,
We
I
walked up
regret
it.
it.
We
doing it. Oh, if you
walked it.
walked up, okay, you could have done it. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Well,
we
we
did.
looked up a
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
But this was it before the last bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did. We did it But
I'd
what we
heard it
did
was
was
you
we
needed
saw
to
the
walk it.
entrance to it.
So we
It
just
was
put
like
our
on the
bikes over the
yeah, we just like
barricade.
hopped our
yeah.
bikes over and walked up to the top.
Gotcha.
If we had gone all the way to the bottom and
Okay,
tried to bike up
that's
that,
what
it
that
would have been
was?
impossible.
Yes, so I haven't
Got
done that.
Yeah, that was cool. What did you think about Onomichi first?
I was pleasantly surprised by Onomichi. I didn't think
Yeah.
there was a lot there.
Did you guys check out the shrine? There's like
Yes.
20
Yeah.
shrines or whatever.
So-
I got
We
so
walked-
lost looking for the first one. I failed and I only went up that hill.
We
I-
walked up the hill. That was
Okay, I tried to get the first one and the maps were really bad and I walked like 30 minutes up, basically halfway up to that, not
Yeah.
realizing it. And I was like, I clearly have not found the first shrine. I'm going back down. I'll go to wherever the ropeway is. And then I walked to the other, like all the way down out of town to where the other way you can get up there.
Yeah.
And then I got up to the top and when I came back down, I was like, oh fuck, I was halfway there.
I had a similar. We walked up to that shrine. This was after we did the Shimanami Kaido. We did it the day
Oh,
afterwards.
okay.
We walked up and we get up, and Emily goes, "Oh look, there's the ropeway." And I was like, "Why didn't anybody tell me about the ropeway before we walked
I'm
up this
sorry.
gigantic
Well,
mountain?"
I
Okay.
didn't mention it because when I went up, it was already like it
Yeah.
did run late at night,
You
so
don't
it didn't
even think
occur to me
about
to
it.
like
Yeah.
tell you guys about it. But I told you about the hill. I was like, you gotta go
Yeah,
check out
yeah.
the view.
It was
I didn't mention it could be really easy.
So Onomichi has a huge shrine on the
Well,
hill, and
yeah.
that was. I mean, we love going to shrines when
Yeah.
we're in Japan.
Well, so we went the night before and then we went to go pick up the bike, and then the man basically said, "Go away and come back tomorrow." So
Yep.
I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So then we went back to our hotel, which is like, "Let's sleep." And then
That's funny because I showed up and I was like, can I pay you more to get my bike a day early? And they're like, yeah, sure, we'll take it.
we should. I like pre-booked. I like booked it
you
for
had
2
booked it for
days.
two?
Yeah.
I wouldn't let you.
And he was just like, "Go away, come back tomorrow."
I even Google translated
The
like
woman
we
was
booked it
like
for 2
super
days.
friendly. I was like, hey, I might wake up early. She's like, do you want to take it out now? She
Oh.
proposed it, and I was like, yeah, you know, that's a good
I'm
idea.
We had a really.
confident this
She was
older
upselling
man-
and he was not.
No, yeah, he
I'm
was an
really
old
confident this
old
older
dude.
man did not understand what we were trying.
No,
to
I
say.
Google translated
I
it, and he
know.
looked at me and he was like,
Come tomorrow.
basically,
But
he's like,
kept-
"Don't worry about
he
it."
kept
Yeah.
pointing at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we were like, all right.
I think I'd venture to say because
So you guys
it's like,
stayed the night in Onomichi,
Yeah.
did the whole thing, and then stayed that next night in
Yeah,
Onomichi.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
exactly. Yeah.
I think he didn't because it was like winter, not that many people were renting.
Yeah.
So he was
Or,
like,
like,
just
fall,
come back
but yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, how was the weather? Just real quick. Like, obviously, it was
Perfect.
It was a perfect day.
65 degrees.
Yeah.
It was a little cloudy in the morning. We thought it was going to rain.
Yep.
Sunny the whole day.
Yeah. So
Good.
then we did the Kaido, then took the bus. We were like, we kind of just winged it. We were like, we're gonna figure out how to get back.
I did
And
the
then
same
there
thing
was
with
a
the
bus
Yeah, it's easy enough.
there, and then there was another couple there
Yes.
from Wyoming or something, or no, Denver.
No, Oregon.
Oh, Oregon, Portland. Yeah.
Portland.
And so like the four
Same
of
as
us,
Denver.
Yeah.
the four of us
basically.
were just muddling through the bus,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
got. We
It's
got
cool too seeing the view back, like and.
Oh, it
going
was
so
dark.
quickly.
So
It was
okay.
dark.
Oh, right. I did it in the morning. Okay.
Yeah, we like got on the bus and it was like immediately dark. So then we got back, and then our hotel you could like book a private bath. So then I did a Hinoki bath, so that was nice.
Yeah. And I slept.
Yeah. And then the next day, so then we slept, and then the next day is when we were like, let's explore Onomichi a little bit. So then we went down there was like just like a cute little market square, and then we like ventured through. We kind of like zigzagged up through the hill. There's like that path of shrines.
Yes, which
Yeah.
I completely failed to find. but-
Yeah.
I wouldn't even.
we kind of happenstanced upon it. Like we kind
Yeah.
of just we were walking up the hill to go to the main one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then we just kind of found it, and we just kind of like was following the signs.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like a town in like a Ghibli film or in like Your Name or something where it's like kind of you're just going up the hill and there's just all these things clustered in on each other. I like
Yeah.
accidentally found a school
Yeah.
and I'm like looking over their fence
And
into like a ball game.
All the cats running around.
Everywhere.
My overarching thought when I was in Onomichi and even along the Shimanami Kaido was that there are not a lot of young people out in the rural areas of
There
Japan.
aren't.
It's all seniors.
There's some, but not many.
Yeah, not
it's
many.
It's all dying. Onomichi's helped a bit, I think, by like
because of the tourism.
Yeah.
There's a lot of school children.
But like all the islands that you hit along the way, like it's primarily seniors
Yeah.
that are running the businesses that
Even
are
the s-
walking around.
the school I saw where the kids were playing. There were like 7 of them.
Same.
It
We
wasn't
saw
a
like
lot.
6, and they were
And there was
playing
a teacher.
baseball.
There was a teacher with them, and they were playing on like a dirt. It was just dirt.
It was just dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we
and
probably
it
saw
wasn't
the same
like I was
school.
like 7, so I was like, is this a group of friends? Because thinking on it now, like that's pretty small for a class.
Yeah.
But it's not a huge town, so
Yeah.
It was probably and like the ages they were like from elementary school to like high school, and there were
Yeah.
like 12 of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
In terms of rigor, I mean, I think if you're fairly comfortable on a bike, no training is involved.
Yeah, I guess we really didn't describe it, but it's a bike ride across 6 islands.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
because it's islands, there's not that much elevation gain except for when you're going
Except for
leading
getting
up
to the bridge
bridges,
and
yeah.
down the bridge.
Yeah.
But they're so slow, the gradients to get up to those bridges.
Yeah, it's all less than 3% on average.
Yeah.
If you bike in New York City and you can sit on a bike for more than 30 minutes, you should be able to do
The
this.
guy I met, he handled it pretty well, and I wouldn't say he was in crazy shape or a cyclist at all.
We did
And
not
he did it in a
click.
day.
We
And there's
did-
also a ton of e-bikes now.
Oh yeah, ton of e-bikes. So like if you're not physically fit
Or you're concerned about doing it all
in one day,
having
yeah,
time
you
to
can get an
stop.
e-bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it in kit, like we were spandexed up, but we were just wearing sneakers. We were not clipped in. I think having the padding, the seat padding was a plus.
Yep.
But otherwise, like if you can bike in like Patagonia gear, like your normal travel gear, like it's doable.
Yeah, and
It's
the
really
e-bikes, they
doable.
have stations along the way, so you kind of just like pop it in. It's like City Bike or anything else.
Yeah. I think the hardest part was the last island. So it like all the
Yes,
gradients.
there's a decent hill on that
yeah,
last one.
all the gradients are like it's up to the
And then it's flat.
bridge and then flat and then down and then flat. But the last one, it was just like a steady incline for the whole thing, and I wasn't mentally prepared for it. So by the time we were like halfway through that island, I was like, when is it over? Can we just get to the freaking bus?
Which, ignoring that you guys used a lookout, which part of the ride is the most picturesque? I think it's a very obvious answer.
Most picturesque.
Yeah, what was
I mean, it's definitely that last bridge.
It's the last bridge,
It's
yeah.
the last
It's
bridge.
like-
We got there at sunset.
How
It was
often
beautiful.
do you do a ride where like the moment you're basically completing on is like far and away, oh my God, this is the best part. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
such a
was so
perfect
cool.
ending to that ride. And
It was so
I've heard people recommend doing it the other way, and I'm like, maybe
No.
it's physically easier, but it's not gonna have the same impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, I guess, then less rigor to get back because you don't have to take the
Yeah,
bus.
but
And
like
it's
if
so-
you've never done it before, that moment I hit the last bridge, I've watched videos of it, and it's still I stopped and I was like, holy crap! I
It's a
had no
4
idea what I was.
kilometer suspension bridge.
And
that
you're
we saw.
hundreds of feet above the
Hundreds,
water.
yes,
It's so much higher,
It's
and
beautiful.
you can see like 20 islands out in either direction. It's stunning.
It's up there with like Golden Gate in terms of like the view.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I would do it again. I would do Shimano Mikado again.
Did you guys do the whole ride alone, or did you get a little lemon buddy?
We did get a lemon
I got a
buddy.
lemon.
I only gave 2 tips, and one was go up on the hill, and the other was have coins on you for lemon buddy.
Yeah,
did.
he's on my backpack.
Oh, we had the thing I remember about Lemon Buddy. There was this older Asian
400
woman.
yen, by the way. You have to have coins on you, or a very friendly Japanese person nearby who gives you 100 yen. Which is what happened to me. I had 300, and there was a couple, and I was like, oh, they bought one. I was like, oh, I only have
And they're like,
300.
oh, you poor
And they're like,
Asian.
she reaches out and gives me I was like, I can give you for change. And she's like, no, take it. You deserve a lemon. So you got the jersey or the shirt?
She got the
I
same
just got it.
shirt.
Yep.
Is it the same
With
shirt?
It's the same
Yeah.
shirt, but in gray with red.
That's the shirt I wanted that they didn't have any.
Oh, the blue?
Yeah.
Sorry, I got the last one a year ago.
They didn't re-up.
Yeah.
This
it's
is
like,
this is also a women's year size, so like it's literally the one you would have wanted.
it's like gray with pink.
Okay. I do remember seeing that one, although I don't think they had that when I was there. I think this was the only choice. There was another shirt, but it wasn't as cool.
Yeah.
And then I got
Yeah,
the bike
those-
jersey because I was like, I could still use another jersey.
I was thinking about getting it, and I'm like, I have so many. And then I realized that like I literally just threw out a cycling cap. So I'm like, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Get one now.
I didn't have one with me, and I was like, I could use this with my long hair because I'd never needed one before. And as I was going, I was like, man, this is gonna be dumb if I don't wear one of these.
That's why I started wearing cycling caps. The
Yeah.
long hair.
Yeah.
It keeps it
It's-
out.
Yep.
Okay, so the thing I remember most.
I like how you clap and immediately start talking, so it's really hard to cut it.
The thing I remember.
I'm keeping all of that.
Okay. The thing I remember most about the Shimano Mikado getting that lemon buddy was there was an older Asian woman that we had passed.
Yep.
And then we were going up the hill, and we decided to take our sweet ass time getting this little guy whose eyes pop out when you squeeze him. And
You can continue talking. I just
the Asian woman, she passed us while we were doing that, but she was walking. She walked up the whole hill with her bike, which was like, and this was like, what, halfway through the ride, that
Yeah,
lemon guy?
the lemon hut or
I'm
whatever.
like, how is she going to finish this ride? I
She
was
might not.
astounded.
Some people don't go all the way.
That's true. That's true.
I
And-
met some guys who did like to the 4th island and then turned around because they had the day. I was like, what a waste.
Yeah, I would do it again. I would like to do
I
it
plan to do it
with
again.
with a large group. I think a large group would be fun. I
I'm trying to tell
also
the guys trip group that we should go to Japan.
I mean, I'd be down.
Yeah.
I would also, depending on who you are or like what type of traveler you are, you could do it in a day.
I would do 2.
Or you could do 2 days.
I would
like if
really
you want to
want to
like
give it 2.
want to explore each of the islands, which is fun.
Yeah, like I said, there's a temple on the 3rd island I stopped at, and then after that I had to pick up speed because I was, you have to get it done in a day. But like the region is really known for lemons, obviously, and oranges, and there's all kinds of like cool little food stalls. I think I stopped for food 3 times just because I was like, I know I need to pick up speed, but like this little stall seems fun, and there were a lot of places I wish I could have stopped.
Lemon karage was great on the ride.
Nice.
It reminded me a lot of if you go to Hawaii, it reminded me of like Maui or Kauai a little bit, like a mix of those two.
Except way cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
Yeah.
A lot cheaper.
And even
a lot
though
of
it's
fun.
gotten popular, like there's a decent amount of riders, it doesn't feel overly touristy.
No.
No.
And it's really easy to follow. Like
Yes.
there's a blue
besides
line
the one
on-
turn.
There's a
On the 2nd island, they will lead you astray.
yeah, but there's like a blue line on the street that you kind of just follow.
And it has writing on it. It'll tell you like to
Yeah.
Onomichi, and
Actually,
it's in English.
You should show
too.
the back of your shirt to the
I
camera.
will attempt to show the back of my shirt to the
Yeah.
camera. I can't tell what I'm looking at. Am I close?
Higher.
Do.
That's you're
yeah.
scanning, so it's
Perfect. Yeah, there it
What
is.
a weird way to do it. But it's 6 islands. There's blue lines on the street. It's written in English. It tells you which bridge you're heading to, so you can figure out if you accidentally turn around because the 2nd island doesn't properly indicate where you turn for the bridge.
Yeah.
Aside from that, never
Yeah.
made a mistake. It's hard to make a mistake.
Yeah.
hard to make a mistake. Rent a bike.
Actually, that's probably the easiest bike route to
Yeah.
not get lost on.
Yeah,
What other
it's-
bring
what are-
cash.
It's one of
Oh,
like
definitely
the.
bring cash. Yeah.
It's rated like one of the best bike rides in the world by like
Yeah.
many publications.
Yeah, which I agree with for visuals. It's my favorite bike ride I've ever done, but also I've never been on a bike ride where it's so blatantly
Yeah.
laid out where you need to go.
So what was I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying.
Oh no, I was just saying. So rent a bike.
Yes.
Mhm.
Whether that's a road bike or an e-bike.
Yeah.
Know your level. Follow the blue lines.
Don't wear headphones. Take in the sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wear headphones. Bring
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, just enjoy yourself.
Wear your
Take
bibs
it in.
if you're used to wearing bibs. Take it in. Yeah. Yeah. And rent according to your fitness
your
level.
skill level.
If you feel like you want to get an e-bike, take the e-bike. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Okay, so that was Onomichi,
The Kaido.
and then we did Kyoto and Tokyo, which we had done before.
Yes.
The last time when we went in December of 2023, we had a very strict itinerary around Kyoto and Tokyo, bringing us to all the big shrines, all the major things. This time we decided to take a little more easy, a little more relaxed and casual.
Our Kyoto highlights centered around the fall peak season, which
Yes.
was late because I guess
Oh.
Japan has been unseasonably warm this fall.
Yeah.
So
The big thing is like Kiyomizu-dera, and
Yeah,
it's-
of
they do an
course.
illumination.
fall peak hit the week after we flew back. So
Yeah.
alas.
If it
but
makes you feel better, cherry blossoms were way too early last year. Like everything is off.
Yeah,
Like
everything's-
2 or 3 weeks too early. Like people who had booked trips. Like
Yeah.
And this year they were late, right?
No, I think. Sorry,
Were
when
they
I said
early?
last year, I think it was this year.
Oh, this
I
year.
might be wrong. It was off.
Yeah,
I
they
thought it
were
was
off.
early, but in
Everything's
any
off.
case, it was way off.
everything's off.
Yeah.
I think it was early because like if it's late, you can kind of like okay, we'll just come back to Tokyo on our trip. But like if it's too early, what are you gonna do?
So last time we did shrines during the day. This time we did all the shrine illuminations at night,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which was a lot of fun.
I did Kiyomizu at night the last time I was there, which was like 2015. It's really cool.
It gets crowded. What did you feel about the crowds?
Oh yeah,
I mean-
Kiyomizu is usually pretty absurd.
The crowds, being in New York, I feel like my concept of crowdedness is quite skewed because
I will say there are places of Japan that are worse than
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah.
I
So
would
if you
say-
didn't think Kiyomizu was that bad, you got lucky because both times I went to, well, the first time I went to Kiyomizu, I was in college. It was middle of the day. But the second time I went for Illumination, it was a nightmare. It was gorgeous, but getting in was a nightmare.
it wasn't bad. I mean, you wait your turn, you want a picture, right? Like, it's nothing outside of, it's nothing like the Rockefeller tree here in New York.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
a spot to take the photo.
Yeah.
If you've seen a picture, if you look up a picture of Kiyomizu-dera Temple, it's that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's just nice too because like Kyoto to me, if you're looking for like the shrine area, it's quite walkable. So it's like, okay, if something is very crowded, there's like walk less than 10 minutes and
Yep.
there's going to be something else. So like even some of the illuminations we kind of just stumbled upon, like the Chionin one,
Yes.
Kodaiji, like we kind of just walked in.
we did the philosophers.
Yeah,
path
and then we did Philosopher's
yeah.
Path. This was very much like a more lax Kyoto itinerary.
How many days were you in?
5 days.
5
Oh
days.
wow. Okay.
We did do Mount Kurama and Kibune. So
It's like about an
I kind of
hour
know the name, but I don't
and
know
too
20
north.
minutes north.
it's also Kifune, some people call it,
Okay.
instead of Kibune.
Is
So
this like a hiking mountain?
no, it's
One of
well,
them is.
yeah, one of them is. So it's these shrines, these pair of shrines that are about an hour north by bus.
Okay.
And they're starting to blow up on TikTok and social media. They're like, you need to visit Kibune. It is the secret of Kyoto. Nobody's got, the same. But we went, and Kibune is the one that everybody talks about. Kibune was like so packed with tourists,
It was also raining.
and it was raining, and
So
it just-
umbrella like traffic was
yeah, so you couldn't really see a lot of things. And of course the foliage was late, so it was a little bit annoying. But Kibune was like fine.
the draw
but-
there, so like the Kibune, the draw is
Yeah.
that it's right along a river.
Yes.
So it's like lined. It's
picturesque.
very beautiful. It's
Yeah.
lined with a bunch of ryokan. Like in the summertime, you can do like the somen noodles that go through
Oh,
the bamboo.
nice.
the bamboo shoots.
You can eat on the lake. Like they put platforms over the water, and you can eat on the platforms. And then in the winter, and the fall and winter, like the draw at the Kabuni Shrine is like there's a bunch of red lanterns that lead up to it.
Okay.
So it's just very picturesque in the sense of like, oh, it's not just torii gates. Like there's
Yeah.
these red lanterns that get lit up.
And then the shrine, you get your fortune. Most places you get a fortune and you like pull it out and it's just on paper.
Yep.
This one, you take the paper and you
You put it in
put
water.
it in water because it's a water shrine. So you put it in the water and then the ink becomes visible,
Oh, interesting.
which is a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun things. But Kibune was
So it's a waterproof paper, kind of.
yeah. It's like
Interesting.
there's like a film on the back that like absorbs the water.
That's cool.
Technology.
I've not seen that.
Yeah, it was fun. But Kibune was like it was fine. But Mount Kurama was so much fun. Mount Kurama,
Ramadera.
Kuramadera, it's like literally a shrine up a mountain, and it's a beautiful hiking path.
Okay.
And it's pretty easy. Like we saw some older people doing it with canes. It took us an hour, but we could have taken our time and taken like 3
Yeah,
hours on
for
the
you
path. It was so
Kami-sama
much
Kiss
fun.
fans out there, Mount Kuramadera has a Tengu shrine up it. So
Yeah.
if you know who I'm talking about from Kami-sama Kiss, why Kurama is a Tengu.
Yeah. Well,
That was my draw.
so Kami-sama Kiss. Well, okay, I do. It's a good segue to Kami-sama Kiss for Tokyo, but anything else in Kyoto?
I mean, Kyoto, I could spend weeks in Kyoto. It's just, to me, it's like quintessential Japan
Yes.
of great food. There's the cult, like if you want to see a shrine, a culture, a ryokan, a tea house, anything that's quintessential, I'll say Japan. It's like you could
Classic old
classic,
Japan.
yeah.
Mhm.
It used to be the old capital.
Yeah.
So
Oh, we
like-
also got to go into the
yeah, so then I was gonna get
Yeah.
there. Then we did all this and revisited them with the fall foliage, which was nice. The one cool part was we just happened to be there on our last day during 3 days. They call it the Autumn Festival, where they open the Imperial Palace,
Oh.
Yeah.
where it's like basically you can't go in there unless you have a
I've never-
reservation.
Yeah.
But it was open to the public, so you could just walk in and they open up like the main hall where you can see the thrones
Oh, cool.
and everything.
And they had like cultural events, like cultural performances during the day for like an hour.
Yeah, like dances, like kagura dances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
We got to see the
being
Imperial
able
Palace. It was awesome.
Wow.
to like walk in there, because otherwise you need like a reservation or
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
like the blinds are all closed, so
You
like
need
you
a
can see the
guided tour,
building, but
yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
see inside. So that was really cool.
We got to see the actual throne they used to
Inaugurate like the Meiji Emperor.
the new emperor. Like so the emperor has like their throne that they sit in all
Oh,
the time. But like the
for
inauguration
Reiwa
throne.
era, this one.
That for everyone they use the same one.
They like
Oh,
ship
okay.
it to Tokyo.
They ship it to
Wait,
Tokyo.
really? That's
yeah.
right. They don't go to Kyoto. They send it to
Yeah,
Tokyo.
they
Yeah.
send now they send it to Tokyo,
That's
and then
So many things in Japan don't make sense.
Yeah. Why not just fly over and represent the
and
original
then
seat
every
of
other
power anyway?
aside from these 3 days, like that room is closed.
I've never even heard of
Yeah.
that. That's cool.
You can't even go. So and that was like complete happenstance. We just like were in the garden, and it was like, I felt so bad. This family came up and asked us how to get into the palace, and we're like, it's closed. Why do you think you can go in there? You need a reservation.
Yeah, and then I spit on them.
And,
Yep.
and then we walked past it, and it was like open to the public, and we're like, oh crap! I hope
I've
that.
had moments
only-
like that in New York where I
Yeah.
give somebody instructions, and then I walk a block, and I was like, "Oh, that was wrong."
Yeah. They're like, where's
Sorry.
where's the Rockefeller tree? And you're like, it's not even Christmas. And you're like, oh shit.
No, I'll like point them
It's Christmas
south, and then I'll be
Eve.
like, "Oh, it's north or
I
something."
felt
Yeah.
so bad. sad.
I know. The only thing we could think when we were, well, obviously it was great, but we kept on thinking like, oh, I hope that family man
Figured it out.
I
I hope
hope
they.
they got
I hope
it.
they asked a second opinion, considering they asked foreigners.
I hope they got it. So
You haven't brought up the thing I was wondering about,
What?
which is I saw you post an image with a Maiko.
Oh yes, we met a Micah. So the hotel we were staying at, we stayed at the Hotel Ressol Trinity, which is west of
it's a
Pontocho,
chain.
northwest of Pontocho, and that specific hotel has a Maiko visit every day.
Oh.
Or like
different
10
Maiko
or 15
for
minutes.
10, 15. They just do
Okay.
a performance for the guests of the hotel,
Nice.
which was so cool. Like I assume they use it as like a training thing. Like like let's
Yeah.
perform
Like
and
practice in front of these white people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With some
tourists.
constraints around it. Yeah.
Yeah, with some constraints, but and then they do a performance, like a 15-minute performance, and then they stay around for a little bit and take pictures, and they're just very polite and very nice, and the performance was hypnotizing.
Yeah.
I was watching it.
What kind of performance was it?
It was
Dance?
just
was
a
it
dance.
Music?
It
Okay.
was just a dance, and they were like, there was a lot of like this movement, which was interesting. I was like, oh, I thought that was like a more like South Asian thing, like Indian, Pakistani, but like even in Japan, they're doing a lot of this.
Yep.
Well, it's like
And a lot of fan
hula.
dancing.
You very much see that everything.
Oh,
is,
well,
like,
a lot of,
has
yes.
No, I was just gonna say every movement has a story.
Yes, I didn't understand what it was, but there was a story. I was making a story in my mind. It was great. The Maiko was really good. Like I didn't understand why people paid for Maiko and geisha until I saw that performance, and I'm like, this makes sense.
Okay.
This makes sense.
Nice.
And then Kyoto. Also, we were going to leave Kyoto for a day to go to Osaka to shop because I wanted to shop. But I ended up like I just wanted to see what Kyoto had to offer, and Kyoto has some good shopping. So like if you don't feel like going to Osaka, Kyoto has enough there. If you're into like menswear, they have a Capital store. They have a lot of jeans and denim shops. They have Kuoe watches. We picked up Kuoe watches, which was filled with gaijin, was filled with foreigners. They really love Seiko and Citizen out in Japan. So like all the other brands, not as much. Oh, they also love Rolex and Omega, but everything else is just, not as big. So we did Kyoto. We ended up doing all the shrines. We did the shopping, and then we hit up Tokyo. And we just lived the city life in Tokyo for 4 days.
Yeah.
4 or 5 days.
It was like 4 days, and then we flew out.
Yeah, we hit Akiba. We did Roppongi.
Yeah, I've never done Roppongi.
Roppongi, like it.
I didn't. There's never been a reason. Like I'm
There's
like,
no
what
reason.
I know about it, there's no reason for me to go to Roppongi.
It's Hudson Yards.
Yeah, it's when I worked there, when I was on there for a long project, all the like foreigners lived in Roppongi together. It's like I don't want to go there.
It's expat. It's really there's not much to it.
It's Osaka has Amerikamura, literally America Town. It's that.
No, well, I
mean, it's better because like Amerikamura, when I was there, was like Yakuza town, but like it was where all had been where all the foreigners would go.
Yeah.
I got told not to go there because the Yakuza were there, but then I went and they're like, yeah, the Yakuza love foreigners. Like you're totally fine here. They'll want to talk to you.
Amerikamura is because there's also like in Osaka, there's like a weird like counterculture to Amerikamura.
Yes.
Like people like want to act American, and like the stores are skewing American styling. Yeah. And it's still grungy, whereas Roppongi just feels like very corporate.
Yeah,
It's very stale.
Tokyo also is very corporate.
The Hudson Yards analogy, I think, is spot on.
Yes.
Yeah, it's lifeless. But we did spend a lot of time in Harajuku and Shinjuku.
Well, we
Shibuya.
stayed in Shinjuku, like on the other side.
On the west side of Shinjuku. So on the east side of Shinjuku, you have Kabukicho.
Yep.
And that's like the very touristy. You have
the only place
Godzilla.
in Japan I hate.
Yeah, the red light district.
I don't like the whatever the
toots.
Toots, yeah.
The toots.
The toots.
Oh yeah, we got a couple of those.
I almost got in a fight with one.
Oh,
it was funny. Like if they could only see me, nothing. Once they saw Emily, then the toots came out.
Yep.
But we stayed on the west side, which is like strikingly calm.
I stayed there when I took Gio and some of our other friends.
Yeah, I
like it feels like an isolated,
city.
quiet town.
Yeah. I would highly recommend if you're going to Tokyo and you don't know where to stay, but you want to stay somewhere central, west side of Shinjuku, great place to stay. And then, Tokyo.
The highlights is shopping. We went to Lost Bar, which was Chris Broad's bar.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was good. The drinks were strong. Strong expat presence.
It's definitely
a lot of
not surprised.
speakers. Yeah.
But it's fun. It was fun. Good drinks. The cheese plate, got to get the cheese plate.
Yeah.
Was it actually good cheese?
It was one type of cheese. It was a camembert cheese.
Okay.
And it was very good.
Cheese in Japan is like so. Like it's usually on something. And you're like whatever, but it's not like they're making amazing cheeses.
Yeah.
No, it was.
Or at least
it was
not broadly.
It was good, broad.
Sorry.
It was good.
Certain
cheese.
areas are making cheese, but it's not a common Japanese.
Good
food.
cheese, good drinks. The clientele there, English speaking, but there was a lot of like I don't know how to describe it. It was like gatekeepy, your traditional gatekeepy anime types where they're like, oh, have you been here? Have you been there? It's like,
oh, you got it.
It's just the personality I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah. You gotta go here. Oh, if
Steve had less self-awareness.
Yeah. And then we had like us, and then there was one couple next to us that were fighting, which was like
That's
fun to listen to.
So you guys went to Akiba.
Yes.
And you went to Nakano.
Oh yes, we went to Nakano Broadway. Oh my God, Nakano Broadway. There was a man in Nakano. So Nakano Broadway is like north-ish Japan.
Tokyo.
It's all the way up by Sapporo.
It's a small town, but there's tons of shopping malls everywhere. Nakano Broadway is a shopping mall that has a number of floors and a lot of great. I mean, you went for other stuff. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah, secondhand anime.
Anime and just merch of like 70s cartoons from like America.
Yes. And now they have a lot of secondhand luxury, so a lot of bags, a lot of watches up there too. But in Nakano Broadway, right outside, there was a man playing like a one-string traditional instrument. But you couldn't hear it. He was just sort of poorly. He was just standing, just sort of like rocking, looked like a homeless dude.
Just like
not doing well.
Like just like vibing, right? And I was like, I had to take a video of this dude.
Yeah.
So I took a video of him just going by his way. And then we shopped and we did whatever. And 2 hours later, we're in Harajuku. And we're right by that Takeshita gate, like the big gate that everybody takes a picture of.
Yep.
And I'm videoing the gate.
And I go, isn't that
and Emily goes, do you know that guy? And I go, I don't know. I turn and I was like, wow, that guy's playing the same instrument as the guy in Nakano Broadway. Oh, wow, he looks the same. Am I racist? Oh, no, I'm not racist. That's the same guy. The guy hoofed it from Nakano to Harajuku, which is not an insignificant walk, playing the freaking instrument.
He was in the zone, man.
I'm convinced he was a yokai.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like the moment in an anime where you realize that only you can see that person.
Something that we
It's a
did,
Sixth Sense
something
moment.
that we missed out, and then we'll go back to Tokyo. Something that we did do in Kyoto that we didn't mention. We went to the Yokai Parade.
Oh, we did go to the Yokai Parade at the Toei Animation Studios Park.
Yeah, which is an active shooting site, right, for films?
Yes, active shooting location, not an active shooting.
We live in America.
Different type of shooting.
They shoot films there. And TV shows.
Yes, and we got to take pictures with Big Eva. Eva 1. Sorry, I was thinking Wally. Eva.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But anyway, the draw there was that they had like a yokai parade throughout.
So people in costumes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was
For ours, there was maybe
staff
like
goers.
Yeah, maybe 20 people in really intricate yokai costumes, like professionally done yokai costumes.
And it's cute. They do like a little dance.
They do a dance number, and then they have a parade, and then they have like a big dance.
But I will. So I had no idea what to expect out of this park, but so that was the draw, right?
Yeah.
But then we walk in, and it's also like I guess a very avid cosplay photo shoot area.
Oh, interesting.
So like we literally walk
let people
in,
just walk in cosplay.
and you have to
buy a specific ticket.
buy a package.
Oh, so it's like in Kyoto where you go into a shop and pay to like put on a kimono kind of thing.
But they bring their own costumes. They're like, we're coming in cosplay.
Oh, this is for you to bring your cosplay.
Yes, and we have professional photographers taking pictures of our cosplay.
Cool.
Yeah. And like these cosplays were like outrageous. They were so awesome, and
They were
like
great.
I guess we didn't know the.
I didn't know.
Karlo didn't know the rapport, and he.
I just snapped a quick pic.
He was just taking pictures of everyone, and then like an attendant came over.
No, like don't do that.
He's like, no pictures of the cosplay. I was like, oh, okay.
But
and then we saw the sign that was like, don't take pictures of cosplayers. These are professionals. They have a different package. So.
But it puts every photo area at Anime Expo and Anime NYC to shame. But anyway, that was cool.
Well, I did want to say when we walked in, we were like, oh, where's the Yokai Parade? So we asked a staffer. They were like, oh, sumimasen, Yokai Parade? And she goes, perfect English. She's like, oh, Yokai Parade. Do you need a ticket to the Yokai Parade? And I was like, oh, do like, we need a separate ticket? She goes, no, only if you want to be in it.
You could have been in it.
Yeah.
So we said no, but what you could do is you could pay to be in the parade, and they dress you in old style kimono, and they teach
Give you
the,
like a little mask, and there's like a yokai dance.
and they teach you the choreographed dance.
Nice.
But it's really geared towards children. So like in
You
the
should've
parade, you had the professional people, and then you had a bunch of kids and their parents.
Yep.
And then they go to do the dance, and there's one girl so into it. And you
Oh
could
my
tell
God, she
she's
was
done
the
this parade
cutest
multiple
thing
times.
in the world.
She knew the dance
This
to a
little girl
T.
with pigtails. Ugh, she was
And her dad
adorable.
was right behind her, and her dad did not know the dance, but he was trying his hardest.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah.
No, this girl could have taught the dance.
Yeah.
She was awesome.
yeah. So it was so cute. And we went during a regular day. They have 3 days where they do the great yokai or grand
Yeah,
yokai
it's like the
parade.
march of 100
1,000
yokai.
Yokai, yeah, or 1,000 yokai, but they have 100 yokai there.
Okay.
Yeah.
100 costumes.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah, it's
cool.
like an actual term. I can't remember if it's March of 100 Demons or
1,000,
1,000 Demons,
yeah.
but it's like a term. Yeah.
Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was
So you had
the
fun.
only other
Yeah.
thing in Kyoto.
So back to Tokyo. Stay west Shinjuku.
Nakano Broadway.
Nakano
And
Broadway.
and Akiba.
Nakano Broadway. And Akiba. So Nakano Broadway. I thought the figures, good deals. It really depends on what you're looking for. You can definitely find a lot of more older stuff.
Yeah,
in
if
Nakano
you want
Broadway.
JJK and Demon Slayer, you can go to Akiba.
Yeah.
If you're like me or anyone else who's been watching anime for like 10 years, you're
Nakano Broadway.
likely to find things that you couldn't find elsewhere in Nakano Broadway.
Yeah, you got to be in the mood to sift though.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it is a bunch of little stalls.
Basically all owned by Mandarake.
So, quite a few. There's like, I
Yeah.
think there's 4 Mandarake in there. Yeah.
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 But it's like these little storage units, I'll say, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term.
Yeah. No,
Small.
it's a
That-
fair comparison.
That people just have, and you walk in and it's just whatever they got. So you got to be in the mood. Some are organized, some are not so organized.
Some of them are you basically pay for a box, and you'll go in and it'll just be a bunch of plastic cases with figures in it, and
Yeah.
it's individuals who have had figures they're trying to
Yeah.
sell. And so you have no idea what you're going to find. You got to check everyone. So I
Yeah.
usually give myself like a whole afternoon and just wander through
Makes
Nakano
sense.
Broadway.
And my second biggest tip, besides like be ready to search, is if you have a bag, make sure it's a small bag, or be prepared to take
Yes.
it off as you're walking through, because they're like
It's
it's
tight.
tight. It's real tight. And then the watch, I went there for watch shopping, and the watch selection for I wouldn't say vintage. They don't do a lot of vintage, but secondhand watches. So a lot of like more modern, like I'd say 2010 to now. They have a lot of stock. Any type of Rolex you want, they have that Rolex there for pretty competitive prices, similar to what you'd find on Chrono 24 for those of you who like watches, in terms of price range. So great shopping for secondary watches. I didn't buy any luxury watches while I was there. I bought the Kuoe, but if you're into it, definitely go there. Akiba.
Hold on.
yeah.
Did you guys go to the basement for the 7 flavor ice cream?
Oh no, I didn't know that was a thing.
It's so, but it's a thing that like I think they still do it, and they.
Describe it. 7
I'm part of the
flavor.
problem. It's soft serve, super tall, and the colors and the flavor change as it goes up, and then it's like a mess. So when I went
It's a mess.
when I went in 15, my buddy tried to film me eating it. It ended up not being that interesting. It took me like 10 minutes to eat the thing.
Which is a lot
For
you.
me, yeah. But now there's signs that you can't film in that area, and I'm like, I totally get it, because like everybody would just go to film doing that thing.
We didn't see, it was November,
It's okay.
so
You didn't miss out.
it was November, so nobody was really eating ice cream outside.
Yeah.
So we didn't even see it. Like we didn't see.
Oh
other
no, you eat
people
it in the
eating
basement. You can't like take.
Oh,
it
you
out.
can't
You
take-
like eat it downstairs.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. that makes
Because it's
sense.
like a tall thing. It's like if you start walking, you're gonna drop it on the
Yeah,
floor.
it's gonna be like a sad situation.
You know, if you're there, it's cool. It's like everything else in Japan. It was like, I don't know, maybe like 800 yen. It's not expensive
Yeah.
for what it is, but you didn't miss out. Did you? You didn't end up getting anything? And did you see anything that was interesting to you in Nakano? Because obviously he was there more for fashion stuff, but
figures wise, there wasn't a lot of shojo figures.
I mean, I did get my Yuri.
No, that was at Akiba.
Was it?
Yeah, that was in Akiba at the figure tower.
I don't think so.
I think so.
what's the figure tower?
Figure tower is it is Ami Ami's newest.
No, because you wanted me to get Victor there, and
Oh yes, Victor was at the figure tower.
yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about the figure tower later.
Okay,
But yeah,
So
I
something.
got Yuri there.
So
got
Nakano,
Yuri.
Nakano paid off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I got
Yeah.
Yuri Pletsky there from Yuri on Ice.
it was a gem figure which
Yes.
sells for how much? You were saying that the price differential was crazy.
Yeah, I got it for, it was like 109 yen, girl math. So what is that? 10?
No, 109 yen is $1.
No.
109,000. She was
Okay.
doing girl. So like what she was doing all
I
trip
had my
was
concept of
girl
girl
math.
math.
It can't be 109,000.
No.
That's $1,000.
Yeah.
No.
It was 10,900.
Hear me out for my concept of
100
girl
bucks.
math.
Yeah.
Was the yen used to be years ago.
Like 100.
Like
to
100
1 to
to 1.
100, yeah.
So
It
I would
used to
just
be
take off
easy.
the last two.
Yeah.
And then anything else is just a bonus.
Because
so then,
now it's
Yes.
1 to 150.
So then I would.
I do the same. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's less than this number.
Yeah. So then I would just think of everything in girl math terms. So I'm like, oh, it's $109 girl math. So that means
Sure.
it's 10,900 yen. Which means it's
Which
really
means it was like
only
$80.
$80.
Yeah.
But if you look at how much this figure costs on like Mercari or eBay, it's like over 200.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
seeing like,
Nakano's a great place for a deal. I would
38,000
argue,
yen.
I don't think Akiba's, you're not going to get deals on figures at
No.
this point.
No.
If you're going to Akiba, it's for the vibe.
Yeah.
Or because it's a figure that you just can't find easily online.
I mean,
but
honestly,
it's not going to be
prize
cheap.
figures for cheap. Like this Aqua was less
Yeah.
than 10. This was 1,000 yen.
Yeah, that was and then this Mars
Was that
was also 1,000
is the figure store? Oh, that's pretty good.
right? Like the
Sweater.
sweaters. I really
Yeah.
liked the sweaters.
These were both in the figure.
These were
tower?
both in the figure tower. So in
So
Akiba,
These are boxed, or these are like
They were
they're all
boxed.
boxed.
Oh,
They're all boxed.
interesting.
Everything we bought was boxed.
Yeah.
Was it secondhand or was it brand new?
No, it said unopened on it.
These
That's
these were
surprising.
unopened. The Yuri, I'd venture to say, was opened.
I mean, the
Anything in
box was
Nakano-
kind of dented.
Pretty much
but
anything in Nakano would be
Yeah.
But these
secondhand. I'm
guys-
just surprised that this would be.
I don't know if it's just
Wait,
because
what did you
this,
say? $10?
this was
It was-
10,
yeah,
this
they
was
were both 1,000.
yen, This was 1,400.
So yeah, $10.
I
That's
spent-
surprising.
I would have spent more trying to win it in
Yeah.
a crane game.
Oh, crane games.
Let's just leave them here.
Crane games
Okay.
you're doing for fun.
Yeah. So Nakano, I would also say like it's unique in that I think it's the only place in Japan where if you wanted,
Put
you
them
could.
together, design it as citrus. Yuri fans know what's up.
I would say Nakano is interesting in that it's also probably the only place in Japan where you could like negotiate a volume discount. Like
Interesting.
Like, if you bought enough-
I don't know if I'd ever tried that. But
if you bought enough figures from like the same person, you could probably ask them just for
Oh,
like
maybe.
a slight. I wouldn't
Yeah,
bargain.
But yeah, no, you probably could be like, hey, you know what? Can we just make this an even 5,000 instead of like 5,100?
Exactly.
Like that, yeah.
Exactly. So Nakano was, but Akiba was Akiba, but they have the figure tower now.
The new figure tower, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm listening to our kittens
Trying to escape.
trying to escape from the bedroom. They're
Mm-hmm.
going wild.
Yeah.
But Akiba, there's the new figure tower, which is Amiami's newest location,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 6 floors. 6 floors,
And they think the 7th floor is an event space or something.
7 floors in event space.
Is this different from the other Onomichi
Yes.
there that's 7 floors? 'Cause
Yes.
They've got at least one other location.
Yeah, it's
there.
new.
Yes.
Okay.
So it opened in June 2024.
Okay.
And it's 7 floors of just figures.
Oh, good.
And all of the figures, each floor is sorted by a different type of figure.
Demo.
Yeah,
Okay,
except
good.
for like the bottom, I'd say the bottom 3 floors are all like the popular ones. So they'll say like, this one is Konosuba, this one is Demon Slayer.
Yeah, it's like
this
this
one's
shonen,
JJK.
then they have like Bishojo.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then as you go up, it becomes more
Yeah.
broad. And that's where we found a gem figure of Victor
Yeah.
from Yuri on Ice, which was cool. You left it there.
Yeah. Well, I have the limited edition other figure of
Limited
Yuri
edition, yeah.
Yuri and Victor that I have no room for, so I can't afford.
I get it. Sometimes I don't care about certain figures I have either, and I stuff them away because they don't matter.
Oh, they very much matter. It's the whole scene of them
Yes.
running on a beach with the dog, and there's
Oh,
like
nice.
it came with like a big framed print
Mhm.
of it all, so it's like it's definitely my top. I already have my fruits basket, my bakugo, and my Makoto Shinkai shrines, so I need to find another shrine space.
So now that you guys have been twice, obviously some places you visited again, do you have, of the places you've been, what was your, like, if you were going to go back to one?
Oh, I think
I think that's a better
I
question
mean,
than what's your favorites.
it-
Like, which one did you
it
go back
covers
to?
everything. So Tokyo, but like
Boring answer. What's yours?
no, I would
mean,
say
mine is
Kyoto.
Kyoto.
I would say Kyoto.
Okay, I was going to say, if I was picking a big city, I'd maybe pick Osaka, but yeah.
I like. I would
I
pick.
feel like Osaka would be really fun with a group of people.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would pick Kyoto, Osaka over Tokyo.
Yeah. Like I enjoyed Osaka, but I feel like it very much has like that nightlife-y
It does.
vibe,
Yes,
which is not.
I
some-
also have the, like, I studied there.
Yes.
So, like, I spent time in Osaka.
So
So,
you
I
know
got a
the
feeling for, like,
gems.
oh, I don't, at this point, nothing I know is still exists. But
isn't that sad?
yeah, not really. new stuff.
You get old.
But well, actually, that's not true. In Japan, a lot of stuff stays open. But more, I just mean like because I got used to like, oh, there's a nightlife and a vibe and a culture here. Tokyo is fun place, very corporate. The girl I dated when I was studying there and I kind of knew there were different dialects, but she came to Tokyo. She gets off the train. I'm like, hey, you made it. Like, I don't think she'd been to Tokyo. I was like, how was it? And she's like, all the men on the train speak like women. I was like, yeah, that's actually, I don't quite hear it, but now that you say it, like that is the vibe of Tokyo. Yeah. She's like, my mom's more masculine than these men. I was like, yeah, that's fair. Kansai mom is a thing.
Tokyo's so big, so it's like you got to find like where you
it's just,
want
Tokyo's,
to be.
there's pockets of it, but like Osaka's got more of like, the same way like New York City is the culture, Washington, D.C. does not develop culture of America.
Yeah.
Osaka's where culture, not the only place, but like Osaka's where culture comes from in Japan. It's not coming out of Tokyo.
I would say that like if you're looking for an Osaka feel in Tokyo, it's like Shimokitazawa.
Right, exactly.
But
Which is where my friends who I studied with in Osaka live now, is in Shimokitazawa.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I would choose Kyoto and Osaka just because being from New York, Tokyo is a lot like New York, similar like urban feel. So you're not, for me, I'm not getting like a vacation or I'm not getting a different destination.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by Onomichi. So
Great spot.
I'm like more
Getting off the
apt.
boring answer now.
I'm like more apt now and excited to like explore some of the smaller areas. Because my fear was always, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to communicate with them. I'm not gonna be able to do this. It's small, it's quiet, it's just rice paddies. But no, like it kind of like fueled a little bit of excitement to me to go off the beaten path.
Nice.
All right, I have one last question then to close this out. So
you have like two.
Oh, you have two?
Well, the basic stuff I put in. You guys had Skemen finally?
Oh, Skemen. Well, we've had Skemen here.
Yeah. Did you find
like
it the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Skemen versus ramen.
Oh, I'm a Skemen.
She's a Skemen fan.
It's blatantly better.
Yeah, I'm team udon.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I like the noodle feel.
Udon's my least favorite.
I like the mouth
I
feel.
put ramen and soba kind of close. Skemen's above both of them, and then udon at the bottom.
It's like udon and soba are
interesting.
As a noodle.
I meant as a thing you're eating, not just the noodle. Like I would rather eat a Skemen bowl than a ramen and soba bowl. Udon bowl's lowest to me.
Yeah, fair. But I find udon noodles the most fun.
Sure, they're fat. They slap around. They slap around. Okay.
Jeez, Louise.
I don't remember what the question. I mean, I wanted to lead into the Tokyo versus Osaka conversation because, like, most people tend to skew that way. I do as well. I was curious how you felt.
Yeah, as an American.
So,
it's just...
now that you've kind of feel like you could go off the beaten path more, like, do you have in your head like, oh, there's another place I'd wanted to go that you got like cut off the trip, or like something after now where you're like, oh, I'd like to go check out blank.
I mean, I don't know about small. I'd have to.
It could be anywhere,
research,
but like,
definitely next on the list is Sapporo and
okay,
Hokkaido.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
that's my actual favorite places.
Yeah,
Sapporo.
like,
well, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, what are we gonna do next?
Yeah, that's next.
Sapporo.
Sapporo and Hokkaido and that whole area.
Well, then I wanted to ask you. You're heading there in a couple of weeks for what, a month?
Yeah, it looks like a month now.
What are you doing?
I'm heading there for Komiket, which is December 29th and 30th. That was the goal. I want to go to Komiket, and this is apparently going to be the 50th anniversary is next year. So I'll be
at the 40th.
Or well, I guess maybe this is part of it. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Just about the 50th year. So I want to go to do that, but I'm heading over before Christmas to avoid the rush. So I'll see like the illuminations for Christmas.
Yep.
Maybe go up to Nikko or somewhere for like a day trip, or Yokohama. New Year's Eve at the same at Zozoji Temple, which is where I spent New Year's Eve 15 years ago when I studied there. So see how crazy it is now. And then my mom's actually going to come over.
Oh.
Because I've done enough like solo tripping, and like the two friends I want to take like have a baby or a fear of flights, and both are keeping them from joining me. So she's going to come over. So I'm got to figure out the exact plan, but Tokyo for like a day or two. Sapporo, even though it's like a stretch because we got to fly up and go for a day, but I'm like, if you're coming once, you just need to see Sapporo. And then fly from there to Osaka and Kyoto, do like 3 days, maybe stay in Amachiya, and then go to Gifu, which I haven't been to.
What's Gifu?
That's where Shirakago is, the wooden houses with like the crazy tall roofs that.
Oh, cool.
And then Hida, which is one of the. I've had Yonezawa beef. I have not had Hida beef. Those two are up there with Matsu's something. Matsuoka maybe, and Omi is like the best Wagyu. So I haven't been to Gifu Prefecture. And then once she leaves, I'm going to fly down to Okinawa for a week for scuba diving.
Okay.
And to see The Pillows, which is my favorite Japanese band. They started the same year I was born, a few months after, and I'll be seeing them the day after my birthday,
And
hopefully. Assuming that my ticket works out.
They started the year you were born, and they're still together.
Fooly Cooly, the anime I keep telling you should watch, they did the whole soundtrack for that.
Are they still making new music?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's the Lost Man Go tour, I think.
And the same crew?
Same band members, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe one has switched. I don't think so. Yeah, and they have like a lot of music aside from those albums. But I saw them when I first studied there with a couple of friends who, like everybody in the West, knew The Pillows. It was, and then I saw them here when they came when Toonami funded 2 sequels to Fooly Cooly, which were not great, but it prompted The Pillows to come to America for the first time in like 9 years or whatever. So I got to see them here, and then now I'll go see them in Okinawa hopefully.
Nice.
And get some cool scuba diving in.
Fooly Cooly had 2 sequels.
4. Toonami made 2 more happen last year. Nobody talks about them. I didn't even watch
Was
them.
any of them called Fooly Tooly?
No, they were all named after music. So it was like Fooly Cooly Shoegaze and Fooly Cooly Alternative and 2 others.
Fooly Cooly Kendrick Lamar. Fooly Cooly Mustard!
I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna have to adjust the audio on that. I do
No,
know what that means.
don't. Just let it ride.
Yeah.
Just let it ride. All right, Fooly Cooly Mustard. That's it.
Fooly Cooly Mustard.
We are Perfectly Mid. You can find us at
TikTok and Instagram at Perfectly Mid, and we're gonna start up hopefully on Spotify, but YouTube helps us out more and the video quality is better, so you can just keep following us here.
All right, so remember to like, subscribe, and comment down where your favorite region to travel to in Japan is.
Or the one you're most interested in after hearing this.
Or the one you hate the most.
I don't know what that would be. Oh, wait, I do. It's... Cut.
It's cut Bukicho.
I like Kabuki-cho.
I'm not cutting there. It's Kabuki-cho.
And
now we're done.
I like Kabuki-cho because I don't have to be there forever.